Does that mean you're automatically recording as well, Sam?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Morning, everyone. If you can see us or you can see my screen, welcome to the session. We're just going to host this for the moment for you, so welcome. A couple of messages for you whilst we're waiting, and you can see those in front of you anyway, but everybody will be able to see the chat. Let us know you're out there. Drop us in a hi or hello. Also, maybe where you're from. I'm conscious that there's people joining from the UK and definitely from Australia, and we may even have people from many other regions as well. So drop in a hello and where you're from and where you're joining us from today. Just a couple of other important messages for you. Your mics and videos, because this is a webinar session, will be turned off automatically. So feel free to be able to talk to us through the chat. And if you have any questions, let us know too. Sam is on board for any technical challenges that you may experience, and you can see her email address just in the middle. So samg@acceleratorsolutions.com, and she can help you with any technical support or also dropping in. Looking at like there's already some snow around in snowy London this morning, so yeah, interesting. And we will start on time in a minute's time, so we'll just leave these announcements on the screen for you to understand. Hi, Claire from UK Parliament. And Greg. Good to see my other panelists taking in on board the chat as well and saying hi while I'm talking. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'll just echo a couple of the messages if you've joined us in the last minute or two. If you can let us know that you're out there through chat, it's great to see you and great to meet you again, albeit that we can't see you, but we can certainly see your messages coming through. Because it's a webinar, your mics and videos are automatically turned off. So you will be able to communicate with us if you have a particular question, then drop that in through the questions and answers or in the chat. You should be able to see everything. Actually, it's I think coming through to panelists, but Sam, if you can just check that everybody's going through to all attendees as well, that would be really helpful so everybody can see everybody's messages that are coming through. Okay, just before we start, I'll just make sure that everybody is able to see everybody's comments that come through. So just a technical note to Sam in the background and our support that everybody's set to all attendees and everybody can see everybody's messages that are coming through. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this either snowy or wintry day, depending on if you're in the UK or you may be experiencing some nice weather in Australia. But, welcome to the session. And we'll start. So the session is titled Kindness and Gratitude and Two Unused Qualities in Life and in Leadership. So welcome everybody and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to invest in this particular interesting subject. We hope you find it interesting. Good morning to the participants in the UK. Maybe you're enjoying a coffee with us at the same time. And particularly good evening to those who are joining us. Nice, Heidi. Those of you joining us from Australia, maybe you've joined us. It's later in the evening there, so maybe you're enjoying a glass of wine. So if you're joining also from any other regions, it'd be great to hear from you. And let us know in the chat where you're joining from. So let's start and put some names to some faces. So who are hosting you today? Bianca.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining. My name is Bianca Talbot and I am Chief Executive at the WOW Awards.
Hello, everybody. I'm Caroline Lovett. I'm the Director of Customer Support here in sunny Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, where it's now 8 o'clock at night and I've no wine.
Morning, everybody. I'm Heidi Daniel from Accelerator. I know lots of you out there that are attending, so welcome. I'm one of the founding directors of Accelerator. Amazing to have you all here today.
Absolutely. And you've already heard from myself. So my name's Steve Farmer. I'm a senior consultant at Accelerator. And myself and Caroline will be hosting most of the content, but we're joined by Bianca and Heidi, who are also going to give us their support. And straight over to Bianca.
Yeah, so really excited to be covering this topic today, particularly the gratitude piece for us. It permeates everything we do at the WOW Awards. So we are providing employee recognition programs that capture the power of thank you and use that to motivate employees. We are working across a range of sectors, some of our customers listed here for you, but essentially we're working with businesses who understand the value of putting their employees first. And we have got Caroline, who works over in Australia, looking after our customer base over there, particularly JLL, who are facilities and property management. And we help those organisations to shine a light on excellent service delivery, capturing those moments and feeding them back through the business to ultimately improve employee morale, employee loyalty, employee productivity, which of course translates to your bottom line. Over to Heidi.
Thank you, Bianca. So I'm just going to do a very quick introduction, if I can get my words out, to Accelerator this morning. So, and wow, how our business has changed over the last year as well. So we're doing more and more around the subject of kindness, gratitude, along with mental health, leading remotely, all the things that people absolutely need at the moment. So what we're doing is a lot of training and developments around these subjects. And when I finish off at the end, I'll give you a little bit more information about that. As it says on the slide, we're doing much virtually these days, of course, and we're doing a lot of bite-sized training and development. Still doing a little bit of face-to-face, and also on the subject of research, looking at things like employee engagement, employee research, what customers actually need as well. So that's very briefly a little bit about Accelerator Solutions.
Thank you both, Heidi and Bianca. So on to today's discussion points. We've got three core topics for you today. We're going to look at the power of kindness and what kindness is, and some science behind the quality also. We'll also look at expressing gratitude and how to express one of the most overlooked tools in the workplace. And thirdly, we'll look at courageous leadership and the impact that positive role modelling and kindness and gratitude, and what it looks like from a leadership perspective. So as the first core area of topic of kindness being the quality of being friendly, generous and considerate. And that's an Oxford English Dictionary definition. Open displays of kindness and gratitude by leaders have a positive impact on employees and it creates positive cascading effect. So we'll go into a lot more detail as our three core topics today. But it gives us our first opportunity to engage with you and through the chat. You've already started using it, so we'll be really keen to find out your response to this question actually. With in excess of 60 people, we may not be able to echo back everybody's points, but if you set your response to everybody, then everybody can see it, otherwise it comes just through to panelists. So when you do respond, be conscious of who you're responding to. So your question actually is, if you were a superhero, what would your superhero power be? And if it was particularly linked to kindness, then all the better. So we'd love to hear from you through the chat, what you think your kindness superpower would be and how you would use it. But while you do that, I can see Caroline smiling in the background there on the camera. So Caroline, you've had a little bit of time to think about this, and I do appreciate that, whilst everybody else sends theirs through the chat. But what would your kindness superpower be and how would you use yours?
Well, because you banned me from wearing an outfit, Steve, I would like to say my kindness superpower would be Wonder Wisher.
Wonder Wisher.
And I would grant a wish to everybody in a 24-hour period that will actually provide kindness to somebody they care about, some cause they care about, or for kindness in the world so the world can be a better place. I would be Wonder Wisher.
Wonder Wisher. Absolutely. I wonder what outfit you would have worn, actually, Caroline. Now you've got me intrigued about what you may have put on as your costume. So very interesting. But that, yeah, lovely sentiment, actually. And we've got a couple of things coming through the chat, actually, in terms of, yeah, caring, how I'd like to be cared for in the workplace. Compassion woman, because I think we all need to lead with compassion. That's nice. Yeah. I'd like to be a time controller and have the time to be able to show my appreciation to everyone around me. Nice, thank you, Derek. And if any others come through, then we'll echo those back as well. But just thought we'd start on a nice touch of interaction. Actually, Caroline, if you've got the chat as well, you've got a couple more coming through.
Oh, yes, yes. Super smiler. To spread cheer like the kind of virus in the world right now. Wow. And the visible man, people know how and where to find me for a chat. Oh, that's from Ricky. That's lovely.
Love that. Rather than the invisible man, the visible man.
The visible man.
Always there. Yeah. And some skills, particular traits coming through. So the power and use of empathy too.
There's some creative ones.
The tea on tap dispenser. Fixes everything, absolutely. Well, feel free to continue with those as we go, and if we can echo some of those back and during the session, then great too. There will be some other times that we can go to you for your chat responses. But thanks for interacting and engaging with us. It leads me then into this. Actually, kindness is my superpower. This comes from Sonia McDonald. Sonia is the CEO of Leadership HQ. And also an author. I'm a fan personally. I follow Sonia on LinkedIn. She provides great, refreshing insight, and you'll see some threads from Sonia come through the webinar. And at this point, we are going to, my colleagues have already turned their cameras off, but we'll come off camera for the moment because we'll go into core content and core detail. And I'm quite gesticular. I tend to do that, but it can be distracting at the same time. So we're just about to turn our cameras off, and we can focus, for sure on the core content. You haven't just lost everything there, you just lost me. Right. So the power and potential of kindness, and we're going to introduce the first major topic in terms of you can see in there the image that we've used. Your kindness is contagious. So let's see how. It is an opportunity to hear from you actually again. So please add to the chat. What acts of kindness have you experienced over the last couple of months, either in personal life or in your professional life? And while we're waiting for some to come through, there's an image on the screen which shares a few of those examples. But Caroline, maybe you've either seen something either in the virtual workplace or in the workplace, or what would you pick out for yourself?
Absolutely, Steve. So the acts of kindness that are shown are really sort of that personal, around family, friends, in a home environment mostly. But for a workplace act of kindness, sometimes a simple thank you, that's something that's not done well in the workplace. Say thank you and mean it. Show your gratitude and say it out loud. And better yet, send them an email so that they've got that to refer to, especially when they're having days where they're down. Going back and referring to that act of kindness, that thank you, makes a difference. Even perhaps consider letting their boss know what they've done that made you say thank you to them.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. So please feel free to share either acts of kindness that you have experienced or that you may have demonstrated yourselves. While you do that, I'll share one that isn't on the screen, but it's something that you might not recognize necessarily as kindness, but I'm going to choose to empathically listen. We don't always really tune into our people, our friends, our colleagues, our team members. And this is just choosing to empathically listen. And that would be defined as listening with the sole intent on understanding the perspective of the other person. So really truly giving someone your undivided attention, because genuinely they deserve it, and the benefit they'll get from you really tuning in is very powerful.
Yeah.
So have you noticed a couple on the chat, Caroline, that's come through while we've been speaking?
Absolutely. There's a great one from Wendy. She had an email from her manager in the USA. She works in the UK, saying they appreciated my help. It made my day. That is excellent. And then from an act of kindness that I have experienced recently is a listening and non-judgmental ear allowing me to speak freely. And that doesn't happen very often, definitely. And Neil Hayes, his work sent thank you cards in the post to my managers. So that's excellent. Some great ones there.
Nice. Yeah, and just to notice, there's the messages are coming through, and they're being defaulted to all panelists. So not everybody is having the ability to see everything. So if you did want to toggle and change where you send your messages through, you can send it to panelists and attendees. We should be able to at least, but at least we can echo some of these back for you. But again, with in excess of 60 people on the session, it will be difficult to do. But at least we can give you your sentiment. And then one more colleague sharing their vulnerability. This was an act of kindness to me because it allowed me to also open up and speak openly about how challenging the time has been, which is really nice. Thank you for sharing. And if we've got a second, we can come back to those. But Heidi, I'm going to go to you to just echo an act of kindness that you recently, just as simple as yesterday, happened.
Yeah, that's right. It was we had a little bit of a prep call yesterday morning, and after I came off our prep call, as you do, I flicked onto Facebook, and our village Facebook, this picture came up, and I'm sure we're all familiar with Captain Tom, and apparently what's happening is the schools are challenging the children to do 100 acts of random kindness in honor of Captain Tom. And this obviously went to one of my neighbours, a little chocolate bar through the letterbox and a little note saying, I'm trying to put 100 smiles on 100 people's faces for Tom. Hope this puts a smile on your face. But the lovely thing is he put that onto Facebook. And of course, immediately within 5 minutes, he was getting all of these responses, basically saying, wow, and that's put a smile on my face too. And so there's something here for me around the crazy kindness multiplier, where one act of kindness actually can become another act of kindness because it sort of puts a smile on your face. So I really wanted to share that because I thought it was such a lovely thing that people are doing, that these kids are doing, and it's nice that they are being encouraged to do this kind of thing in the honour of Captain Tom.
Absolutely, and a good link then to kindness being contagious, which is really nice to see. Hopefully it's put a smile on a number of faces seeing that on this webinar today. And there's a couple more notes that have come through from the team as well. Thank you for sharing those. Great on the last one about a supportive manager, and really showing their support and understanding, meant that I didn't have to rush back to work. So there's really good traits and qualities being demonstrated. So let's look at some myths surrounding kindness, and thanks Heidi for sharing the that note about Captain Tom. It's a really nice heart-touching one. So if we think about some of the myths that may surround kindness, it's important to recognise that it might not always come easy to everyone. There may be reasons why we don't share or show kindness, or things that might stop us from showing it. So Caroline, why do you think we don't show kindness?
This is really interesting, Steve, because kindness can be perceived as showing weakness. And it's interesting, we've got Steve Simpson, who's from Unwritten Ground Rules on today in the chat. And I'd love Steve to put his take on this. When those little murmurings around talk about its weakness, don't show your kindness, especially if you're in a position of leadership. It also, a myth surrounding kindness is that you'll be taken advantage of. If I'm too kind, everybody will keep asking me to do things for them and they'll take advantage of me. Another one which challenges me, because I cannot see this in myself, thinking kindness doesn't benefit me. But there are people out there that have the WIIFM, what's in it for me, and showing kindness has nothing in it for some people in their perception. And as Steve Simpson has just said, Caroline, that's a pushover syndrome, and maybe Steve will share some of that in the chat with us. But the last one that baffles me, I can't see the point of it. Some people actually do not understand why kindness is so important in everyday life and in the workplace. So Steve, tell me, what stops us from showing kindness? What do you know?
Yeah, again, you've used the word, it baffles me, that baffles me too, because it could be about the intrinsic part of it. So if you're seeing it from the point of what benefit is it to me as an individual, you may put your own self-imposed barriers up. So some of this information around, could it cost me money? If you're thinking it will cost me money, yes, you're probably not the right person to be showing kindness in the first place. Secondly, it's hard work and takes time. Absolutely it does, because it's about really showing an interest in somebody else and doing something like a selfless act. So yes, I could see why some people may not do it because of the way it stops them from doing it. This is also a bit of a mindset thing. So people don't really want it. That is putting your perception onto somebody else's thought process to be able to think, do they really want to be shown an act of kindness? The truth and the science behind it shows absolutely that they do. But also another self-imposed barrier, really, I'm just too busy, goes back to the taking time, and is there really that motivation to be able to do it? So I'd say, as a summary, these could all be described as self-imposed barriers to being kind, but it is about making the choice.
Absolutely. And Steve Simpson from Unwritten Ground Rules has said sometimes people revert back to what was modelled for them. And you do see that, and that stands out in some of these myths as well.
Nice. Thank you.
And I don't know if you've just seen Rachel, she said, perhaps it doesn't come naturally to some people, and that's an exceptionally good point. It doesn't. Being kind doesn't come naturally to some people.
Absolutely. I was just reading about the connection and the request for us to be on camera that's come through from Greg, which is an interesting point. We're more than willing to. I think sometimes it does distract, and some of the feedback that we have received on webinars is that having video on can be quite distracting, but we'll certainly come back on later. But feel free, Caroline, if you wish to. So yes, coming natural. Let's look at the power and the potential of kindness. And there is a lot of science behind this. The science does show that it does benefit. It's the greater to the giver than potentially to the receiver, or even somebody that maybe is witnessing it. But some of the detail on this, the science, is that it does release good hormones. So when you deliver acts of kindness, it releases like happiness hormones. So boosting your serotonin, our neurotransmitter for feelings of well-being and satisfaction. And endorphin levels also rise. So leading to something that you could have heard of called helper's high. So like the phrase, doing good does you good. Also, in terms of stress levels, helping others does build relationships and bonds with people. Anything that helps you build strong bonds with others is known as affiliative behavior. Example of this may be when you're willingly helping people that you may or may not even know. So, for example, working with the homeless, it really helps with reducing the impact of stress.
And they're really strong points coming out there, definitely. The other one that I do see, it does reduce and help to lower anxiety when you display kindness or when you receive kindness. Social anxiety, that's associated with a low positive effect, and that relates to the moods such as joy, interest, alertness, and engaging in acts of kindness increase that positive effect. Also, kindness helps to alleviate illness, inflammation in the body that's linked to health problems, including chronic pain, migraine, diabetes, obesity. When you volunteer an act of kindness, and most of you will know this, oxytocin is released. That reduces the inflammation. It can directly affect the chemical balance of the heart even. And this bit that I love the most about oxytocin, it increases self-esteem, optimism. And so kindness makes us better through giving, through receiving, and even through witnessing kindness. And that's wonderful.
Nice, thank you, Caroline. It's important to recognize some of the skills that are related to kindness. And earlier we did give you the dictionary definition. So the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. Kindness does go deeper than that. There are skills that link directly to kindness. They're on the screen. Some might be a little bit more obvious than others. So we're just going to pick out one or two and make the connections. I sort of look at taking responsibility. Is it the right thing to do? Persevering, being conscious and really tuned in to the other person's perspective of, is it right to continue to provide those acts of kindness? Are they being well received? So maybe the respecting others and having respect for others as to how it's being received. Is it landing in the right place? So taking that individual responsibility and self-managing. And Caroline, a link that you could make?
Well, the two for me is assertiveness and confidence, because confidence is being very sure of something and having strong self-esteem. So if you're confident about demonstrating kindness, assertiveness is confidence without being aggressive. You're being self-assured. So you're actually imparting confidently that kindness onto others so they feel good about it. And in turn, we generate that potential contagious behavior as well.
Thank you. I think in summary, Cambridge Insights have given the details around these 12 skills. Anna makes a point on the chat, which is about being surprised that patience isn't on there yet. I agree with you. It's another skill that you could put into place, and that it does include investing into. So it's interesting to see, again, some of the information that is coming through the chat, and actually being considerate, because you still may need to make a difficult decision, for example. So Alexandra's mentioned about where you may need to end probation, but actually if there's a real tuning into the person, there's a friend and a family commitment, but you still need to execute it in the sense of, but you do it with consideration to that individual.
The one thing to remember when we talk about the kindness in giving and receiving and even witnessing kindness, you actually do display kindness when you receive it or you give it. So kindness does look good on you.
I like that phrase, Caroline.
Mm.
Good. You may be familiar, or I'm making a bit of an assumption there, but let us know again, if you've seen the movie Pay It Forward, let us know in the chat. One, if you've seen it and if you've heard of it, but if you've also, what impact that it had on you? What did you take from it? And while we do that, we'll just briefly explain the sort of the behaviours that we are seeing this through. The movie does depict a great story related to the ripple effect that it can have when kindness is demonstrated and then others are replicating it. What are you seeing, Caroline, in terms of like any pay it forward behaviours around this sort of kindness pandemic or the contagiousness?
I think over the last year as well, this is absolutely heightened. There are a lot of social media forums and community pages where the pay it forward concept is the stories are fantastic. There's a real increase in people paying for shopping for somebody in the queue behind them, shouting them a coffee and suggesting to pay it forward. We've seen people in McDonald's drive-thrus paying for the people behind them. And there's a wonderful Facebook page called The Kindness Pandemic, which has some outstanding stories that I've never seen before. So what it's showing to me is that people are demonstrating kindness. They're spreading that word to help the contagion. They're doing it really well. So one of the things would be great is to see us help that contagion to spread and join them. Because remember, as you said earlier, Steve, kindness is contagious.
Absolutely. And I think that takes you into your nice phrase as well, Caroline.
Absolutely. And for people, some of the questions we had was, well, how do I do it? Where do I start? It's not that easy. It doesn't come naturally. Great points. The thing to start with is, how do I create that culture of kindness and being grateful? And as William Arthur Ward said, God gave you a gift of 86,400 seconds today. Have you used one to say thank you? What have you got to be grateful for? What have you got to say thank you for? Just those little acts of gratefulness, the little thanks that you do, start to build that ripple effect of kindness and gratitude out there. And that's where the WOW Awards are wonderful, which is what Bianca said earlier. Recognition is the act of expressing gratitude or appreciation, and starts to make it more behavioural. It becomes the new norm, and you start to demonstrate kindness because you're receiving kindness and you're witnessing kindness.
Right. So we'll take this now on to the second phase, really, in terms of gratitude and the quality of being thankful, and a readiness to show appreciation for and to return the kindness. So let's look at grateful and being thankful, actually. And there could be this dichotomy of, is being grateful an action, is being thankful a feeling? So we've just seen the Oxford Dictionary definition of the word grateful, and this is where the difference lies: being thankful a feeling and being grateful being an action. So gratitude goes much deeper than this. It's really a state of being where you feel a sense of appreciation that comes from deep within. Gratitude is more than just the feeling of thankfulness. Being thankful is the first step, and we have to have that initial feeling to be able to build upon. So gratitude requires us to stay alert of the role of others in our lives. This is different from the fleeting nature of the act of a mere thank you or feeling thankful. So through gratitude, we get to make a sense of our lives and learn to credit others with the appreciation they deserve. Let's just imagine for a moment that somebody has given up their time to help you. Saying thank you is easy, but how often do we say, I'm really grateful to you for taking the time to help me. It really means a lot. It's easy just to say thanks very much or thanks a lot, but that sentence is different. It takes a little bit more time and a bit more effort, yes, notably, but the difference is the power of the impact that it can have. So let's look at, we made a bit of a statement earlier at the start, and we introduced the suggestion that gratitude is one of the most overlooked tools in the workplace. And we made this statement, and let's look at how we feel about expressing gratitude. So Sam, we've got a poll. So depending on how you've joined us, whether you've gone straight directly into the URL or whether you've joined via the Zoom app, depending on now whether you'll be able to see this poll. So Sam's going to produce a poll with a couple of questions for you. If you are unable to see this or interact with this, you can submit your answers through the chat. So the first question for you all, please, is on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being very uncomfortable and 5 being extremely comfortable, how easy do you find it to express gratitude to your family, friends, or your partners? And Bianca and Heidi, we've not heard from you for a little bit, but what would your take on this be, just while the people are interacting with the chat?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that there's kind of difference that how people operate in the workplace and how they operate outside of work. And I particularly do find it quite difficult in the workplace just because of those kind of myths that we mentioned earlier. It can be quite difficult to kind of get out of the stereotype of having to be strong and not a soft leader. So I do find that quite difficult, but outside it's much easier. What about you, Heidi?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? And I'm just sat here reflecting, to be honest. I think sometimes it's easy to take people for granted and think that actually the thank you isn't required. I think I do a reasonable good job, but I don't know, Steve, what do you think? I work with you. Putting you on the spot now, but I think we do a reasonable job, but always room for more, I think.
Yeah, yes, you do. As in, it is acknowledged when you do a good job, or when but is it a thank you? And this isn't a challenge back to you, Heidi. There's a bit that's come through on the chat as well, saying thank you doesn't take a lot. That means a lot. It is that difference probably between demonstrating real gratitude for what somebody's done as their contribution, for example, or doing that to your friends, family, or in the workplace. I think, Caroline, you were going to talk about question 2, but both questions have come both up at the same time. So did you have any observation, Caroline, also on the second question, which is more in the workplace based?
I find from my role and at my business, people struggle to recognise their staff, and they struggle to recognise each other. Again, some of that component is those unwritten ground rules that we mentioned earlier and those myths. So it'll be great when we talk about that further on and hear how to manage those struggles.
And interesting to see a couple of things coming through the chat. Don't find it difficult, but I do forget to do it sometimes. I take things for granted too much. So thanks for sharing the honesty on there. What I find is if I recognise my manager, she feels uncomfortable. So yeah, interesting to hear that one. And depends upon the relationship. And thank you, Heidi. I'm really grateful that you are running this webinar. That's nice. And in the moment conversation. Good, but I think with the poll results, you can see, hopefully you can see for yourself, or if you are unable to, I think they're being shared by everybody, even if you couldn't contribute. So 4s and 5s related to the individual family, friends and partners, and the question related to the boss, colleagues, leaders, for example, divided the audience up a little bit further, and a more of a spread around the 3, 4, 5, but a few more around the 1s and 2s. So yeah, interesting to be able to.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just checking in with everybody. Was that visible to everybody as the poll results have come through? Have they been shared? Actually, no, I've seen Sam's asking me if they are shared, but yes, please, if they haven't already, if they can be shared with the rest of the team, then great. Okay, so we will share these with you as well as part of the pack. And if you're wondering whether you'll get this information sent through to you, we will send you a link to this recording, so you can feel free to share it with other colleagues and friends and family members, and also a copy of the slide deck along with some useful handouts or resource information that we can share with you. So let's look at the benefits of gratitude, Caroline. So 4 significant benefits are being shared on the screen. We'll go through a little bit of information related to them. First one I'll take is about improving physical health. You may see some link, and I think, Caroline, you're going to summarize these afterwards, but grateful people experience fewer aches and pains, report feeling healthier, but also more likely to take better care of themselves. Self-care, and again, that link of doing good does you good. From a mental health perspective, gratitude reduces a multitude of toxic emotions, so ranging from envy and resentment to frustration and regret. So again, it's also good for our own personal well-being and our mental health.
And that's the same with the happiness and depression as well. Gratitude effectively increases happiness, reduces depression, and it produces those feel-good hormones very similar to when demonstrating acts of kindness. And gratitude also improves self-esteem as well. It shows an increase in self-regard and a regard for others. So there's some really good connections there. So, and as I said in summary, when we create that linkage, Steve, very interesting to see that the benefits of kindness and gratitude are very similar in their alignment. So we talk about physical health, and that's where kindness can help with stress levels, reduce anxiety, and gratitude mental health helps with stress levels and can also alleviate illness. Gratitude generates happiness and well-being, and that's the feel-good hormones, and both of them align themselves with self-esteem. So why would you not demonstrate kindness and gratitude? They are good for you. And as we've seen here, while they both have similar benefits, the other thing to indicate is that kindness precedes gratitude. If you demonstrate kindness first, gratitude will follow. This is a great example that we have now. This is a wonderful example of when you demonstrate full-on kindness, what happens next when gratitude is displayed. This is a WOW award that was given to a school administrator, Jenny Cash, who spent decades devoting her time and her energy to helping students. She was noted for kindness to the pupils and the families, and she knew everyone's story. When Jenny was about to retire, the headmistress contacted the WOW Awards and wanted to give Jenny a WOW Award. But her words to us were, but wait, she's not going to like it. She's not going to come up and receive it, but we feel we need to do this. People want to do something to show their appreciation. So in front of 1,000 students, teachers and parents, we nominated and spoke to Jenny about her WOW Award. She was standing at the back of the hall. 1,000 people got up and clapped so loud, and cheered, it was spine tingling. It gave everybody goosebumps. But what happened next was the most insightful action. Jenny ran from the back of the hall to the front of the hall, even though they said there's no way you'll get her up at the front. And she received her reward in front of those 1,000 people in that hall. And when we asked Jenny how she felt, the reluctant star said she never realized how valued she was and how much the pupils and their families loved her. So if you don't think you can show gratitude for kindness, you are missing out on these amazing goosebump moments.
Yeah, wonderful story. Thank you, Caroline, for sharing. And again, links to these case studies will also be available to you. If we haven't answered your question directly in the chat at this particular minute in time in terms of the content, we'll certainly be able to respond to those at the end of the webinar. So don't feel like we're ignoring you by any means. Great. Yeah, great story. Steve Simpson on the chat has acknowledged that too. So there's a really nice moment there. So let's look at the third category really on today's session around courageous leadership. And this bit of information on here, but I'll give it a bit of context. So we've recognized that sometimes kindness is often seen as a weakness in the workplace and is rarely displayed by leaders. That's quite a bit of a bold statement and a sweeping statement. So let's give a bit of more contextual. A successful employee or leader is often seen as being driven, task-focused, and maybe tenacious and at any cost. And what we need right now, and more so, even more than ever right now, is courageous leaders who are not afraid to display kindness and gratitude and be those real role models. If employees have experienced kindness and gratitude, that leads to them feeling appreciated. We've already mentioned about oxytocin and increasing optimism. And as that result, they're more likely to provide that improved level of either customer service delivery or their level of personal commitment towards the role, towards the business and the company and people. And it may result in customer gratitude actually by providing a compliment or recognition for that employee, as Caroline's described through the WOW Awards. But is this really courageous leadership? Does it really take more courage to show kindness and express gratitude? We'll discover. We've mentioned Sonia already, so this is another quote from Sonia, the CEO of Leadership HQ. You can be strong as a leader and be kind. You can be courageous as a leader and be fearful. You can be a leader without the title, but courage comes first. So we're going to look at how we do. We've mentioned this earlier actually, and Caroline, you did reference that not everybody can make the connection sometimes. So here's a few examples around getting started with kindness. So we'll explore a few. Where do I start? Maybe that's the ignition that's needed sometimes, or you've already started and you're feeling like you just need to increase a bit more momentum of that, creating a culture where kindness exists and expressing gratitude is part of the DNA. So we've mentioned 6 tools here about starting or increasing the momentum. As a leader, you might find some can be much more easily achieved than others. You may even already be doing some of these. So we'll pick out a few, but Caroline, there's a nice link from the ones that are in gold, I think, to particularly the reference to the WOW Awards.
Oh, yep, absolutely, Steve. So we spoke earlier about why people don't show kindness, and we referenced the myths and the unwritten ground rules around you can't do that. So if you want to have that courageous leadership and build a culture of kindness and gratitude, as a leader, the first thing you do is you look for those opportunities to celebrate those successes. Because once you start to celebrate, you actually infiltrate the reluctance and you get that momentum going. You must catch people doing things good and doing things right so that they know that they're on the right path, that they're for your business, and you acknowledge it and you see it. And as I mentioned earlier, the one thing, while leaders do provide recognition and they get that momentum going, the support peer-to-peer recognition is often not as encouraged actively as it should be. And that's the strongest one in a business. When your peers recognize you for the job you do, because they see what you do day in, day out, that has a stronger feeling of gratitude than often the leadership team.
And if I then explain maybe a few of the others as well, there's just Greg's mentioned about Wednesday the 17th of February being Random Acts of Kindness Day, so that's certainly coming up. Great to see that also you're actively promoting that, so great leadership traits and leading the way related to how can you demonstrate those acts of kindness. We'll share a couple of other significant moments in the calendar later with you as well. Reinforcing random acts of kindness from a leadership perspective, it really starts by role modeling as a leader, being kind and showing it to others so that they can follow your lead. It could be making community service projects available to your team members, encouraging the team to share kindness within the local community. I will make a note there in terms of remaining socially distanced, and there are still community projects that are able to be continued and maintained whilst different parts of the country are in lockdown, for example, or we're experiencing the pandemic. But there is an opportunity to contribute and support and donate to local food banks, for example, as well as charities, and their funding has been diverted as many of them are struggling. Gratitude journals as well, from a leading by example perspective. If you were, as a leader, to start a gratitude journal first, and then maybe share your own with your colleagues or your team members, with that journal to capture theirs, and also potentially to set a gratitude challenge. I know Bianca probably wasn't expecting this, but you've been doing this week or within the last sort of 5 days, I believe, Bianca. Do you want to just share how that's gone for you and what you've done?
Yeah, so we've split the team into 2 groups, and the first group took part in a 5-day gratitude challenge last week. So every day of the week, the working week, there's a small challenge just to sort of get you in the right frame of mind to start thinking about all of the things you're grateful for and who you're grateful for in your life. And then team 2 doing it this week. But the feedback so far from the first group is really incredible. We've had people reaching out to family members to express how grateful they are and how much they mean to them, really emotional conversations. So it's been a really nice exercise so far, and we will come together once both teams have done their bit and share what we've learned, how it made us feel. And again, it's just trying to build that kind of culture of kindness and gratitude in the workplace, which is really nice. And it's something that you often, people have got long to-do lists of things. It's something that can often get lost. So it's been really nice to put a focus on that this week.
Very good. Thanks for sharing, and we're going to make that available to the participants as a result of attending today's session too. Thank you. So Caroline.
So Sonia McDonald, as Steve and I have been mentioning, she actually has a courageous leadership concept and encourages leaders to be kind. Sonia has put together what she calls the 7 laws for being a kind leader. And a lot of you here who are in leadership roles will see that you do this, but it's lovely to put this together as a visual. So the 7 laws are, first one starts with kindly. Everything starts with kindly. Kindly be present. The best gift you can give yourself and others is to be truly there.
Quite a simple one, but kindly be compassionate, but actually be kind to yourself first. So demonstrate self-kindness before you're compassionate and demonstrating it to others.
Kindly show you care. People do want to be cared about.
We've mentioned this one already, but certainly very topical. Kindly show gratitude. Always saying, I'm grateful for everyone who did something for you. Very powerful.
This one goes without saying, but kindly help others. People reach out for help. Some don't reach out for help. The help of others and doing it kindly is a great law for a kind leader.
Linking on them to kindly show respect. Accept everyone for who they are, no matter what, and respect them as human beings.
And the final one is kindly be kind. And I think Ralph Waldo Emerson may have said it the best. You cannot do a kindness too soon, for you never know how soon it will be too late.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and a great quote to pull that model together. And if we do, I'm going to present this case study actually, which is Sheldon Yellen from Balfour Holdings. And whether you're familiar with the work that Sheldon has done, but from a leadership perspective, it's where he demonstrated kindness and leadership coming back to you. So Sheldon actually handwrites 9,200 like holiday and birthday cards a year as a way to say thank you. He's been known to travel with a suitcase full of stationery and writes handwritten notes for thank yous, anniversaries and birthdays. Actually, interestingly, at Balfour, there's an inside joke that Sheldon is more interested in asking how many new employees do we have, rather than what is the EBITDA, which always creates a bit of a stir. How this came back to him is on his 60th birthday, he received 8,000 birthday cards from his employees. So a real good case study that shows around kindness preceding gratitude. And then to sort of close that piece, to bring it together, which I think again is referencing the work that Sonia does. This one really conveys the message perfectly. You're never too important to be kind.
Absolutely, I do love that quote, and I love Sheldon. I think it's amazing, and he started off with a small number of cards, and it's just grown each year. But to bring all our discussion points to a close, and let's talk about the main content. The three areas we spoke about today are the power of kindness and what is kindness, and a little bit behind the science behind that, and gratitude, how to express it, and why it's one of the most overlooked tools in the workplace. Coupled with courageous leadership, when you role model with kindness and you show gratitude, the impact that has on positive results, positive ripple effects, not only for your employees, but for your customers and even for your community as well as your business. And perhaps one of the best examples and a case study that the three together lead us to is this wholesome case study that encompasses what kindness, gratitude and leadership looks like. Hampshire Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust is a WOW Awards client. Their employees, health service employees, put their families on hold and are still doing so, and they're risking their own health to care for patients during this COVID pandemic. Their courageous leadership team wanted not only to acknowledge their health workers, but wanted to acknowledge and say thank you to the families, and in particular the children of these families who are at home while mum and dad go to work. And with the WOW Awards, they prepared and sent out to all the kids of these health workers a WOW Recognise a Hero. And the result, while they thought would be a happy gratitude result, went beyond that. The kids were beside themselves to receive their own personal WOW Award. So it really just goes to show, when kindness is clearly demonstrated, if that courageous leadership takes control to give back a significant sign of gratitude, the knock-on effect is amazing. And it was just wonderful to see the Hampshire Hospital's result.
Again, a really heartwarming case study. Thanks, Caroline, for presenting that back. Again, the links will be made available to you. So that takes us towards closing. We're going to hear from Bianca and Heidi again in just a moment's time. But some of the information that we've shared will also be hyperlinked in the documents that you receive following attending and participating in the workshop in this webinar. So the Sonia McDonald links, but also the three case studies that we've presented to you, along with some other documentation as well to help and support the gratitude challenges being one of those examples. Which links us into this, then a couple of things for you to note. We will provide you with this document, which is your 5-day gratitude challenge. And if you can complete it, we'd love to hear back from you. So sharing what you've done, how you've achieved and what you've achieved. And we've created a hashtag of hashtag 5-day gratitude challenge. And that's how you can share it via social media. Also, that you can email us with your gratitude challenges completed. There will be a prize certainly for 2 different regions, one within the UK and one within the Australian region too. But if you want to email us info@thewowawards.co.uk to submit your gratitude challenges, we'd love to hear the successful journeys that you've been on over the next 5 days. And Caroline, some dates for the diary to add to the Random Acts of Kindness Day that's coming up on the 17th.
Absolutely, that was exciting to see that put up on our chat. So dates for you to remember while you prepare your kindness and you get used to being kind and demonstrating gratitude. Your World Gratitude Day, if you're not quite ready for it, is the 21st of September. And your World Kindness Day is the 13th of November this year. And that is the only time you're going to see gratitude precede kindness.
Nice touch. Okay, good. So I'm going to invite Bianca back on to summarise then from a WOW Awards perspective, and then we'll hear from Heidi before we take any other questions.
Yeah, just to say thank you so much. It's been really, really insightful today. And if any of the attendees who have been listening are interested in creating a real culture of gratitude, appreciation and kindness in their workplace and looking to get some of those benefits, please do get in touch. We provide employee recognition programs that capture and harness the power of thank you back through the business. Please do reach out to us.
Thank you. And Heidi?
Yeah, I decided to put my camera back on for this final. I think we all will anyway. So again, my huge gratitude to Steve and Caroline for taking us through that. It was absolutely great, and what a great day for it. I think last week was supposed to be National Sad Day or something, wasn't it? I don't know why we have these sad days, or the biggest sad day, but to have something much more like the Random Act of Kindness Day next week to me is much nicer. So what I want to do is just a quick summary, because gratitude, kindness, all these things linked together with mental health, how people are feeling right now, leading remotely, role modeling, staying in touch, all of this is intertwined, and we're doing a lot of work around all of this at the moment. Mental health being one of the key things. Nina, she's in the center there of the slide, is our mental health first aid instructor. And so we are running on a regular basis mental health training, which all links in together. And we're also running an awful lot of what we call our bite-sized learning. So this is all virtually trained around some really key topics and subjects at the moment, because of course this doesn't always come naturally to people. Things like balance, well-being, emotional resilience, because you know what, you've got to be emotionally resilient to be able to demonstrate kindness and gratitude too. Building hope and maintaining resilience, particularly topical at the moment. I think people are probably, for some people, they're at the bottom of their hope bottle. Assess your stress, which is an introduction to mental health, and the emotional intelligent leader, because our leaders out there have to be doing more in order to help people. So these are all hour-long sessions, 90-minute long sessions. And so if that's of any interest to you, and of course any of the subject matter that we've talked about today, then please just get in touch with us at Accelerator. So that's everything from me, and I think this is where we hand over to you for questions. I know there's been a number of questions coming up about evidence and where our research has been, so maybe we can kick off with that one from anybody.
Yes, I was just going to mention around the follow-up in case people do have to drop off, which if you did mention it, Heidi, I'll sorry to echo it, but just to explain, there will be a follow-up where we'll send you the documentation. If you choose to opt out from it, you can do that proactively by emailing us through, and you've seen the email addresses that have been covered at the start of this workshop. And they're also on here, so you can wish to opt out if you wish in advance. Alternatively, we'll follow up with the slide deck and the links and the case studies, etc., and a couple of extra support documents. So expect to see those from us, and then you can continue to receive information from us. So sorry, yes, Heidi, we were talking around any particular questions. If you've got to drop off before you ask any of those questions, we'll just take this opportunity briefly to be able to say thank you so much for attending. We really do appreciate, and we're very grateful for your participation and engagement. So that's really important to us. If you do have to leave us at this point, then feel free to drop off a comment as well to let us know how your experience has been and what you've taken from the workshop. But otherwise, we'll look forward to hearing from you with your gratitude challenges. And the other panelists, do you want to say anything before we do go into that question point as well? Caroline, did you want to?
No, there's some great questions coming up, and it's lovely that people are taking away, they found it thought-provoking and helpful and nice to have something positive shared. It's good to see those comments, because you forget how everybody is possibly suffering alone a lot of the time with what they've got, the challenges they've got to get through, especially over in the UK. So this has made me feel really good helping to deliver this session.
That's good. And I think it's Jerry that's asking for the information beyond, like you say, the blogs or case studies. So some of the science behind and the benefits that we've taken from World Health Organization. We can also share the specific reference points that may have not been contained on the slide. So it's not just us making sweeping statements around the personal or the health benefits related to demonstrating gratitude or kindness, etc. So for sure, we don't.
There's another comment coming through there, which I completely understand about, are we in danger of making gratitude and kindness a program? And I think sometimes it's about just giving something a kickstart. And I think once people kind of think, oh God, yeah, I haven't been grateful for a while, or I've been so heads down, I haven't demonstrated kindness. I think it's just about giving a bit of a kickstart, because I don't know, I believe that it's inside all of us to do this, but it is very much about reminding people. So I get your point. It's not about a program, it's about a kickstart, I think, and then role modeling and seeing how others pick up from it from there. Somebody else mentioned about it being authentic. You have to do it within using your own words, don't you, after all? So that's developing those skills around how you do it. Not everybody knows how to do it. Lots of nice thank yous coming through here. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely, it's great to know that it's either been motivational or that's thought-provoking and helpful, etc. So yeah, you're very welcome for receiving the session in the positive way that it's that we've designed it. So good to hear. Caroline,
any more questions from anybody, or is there any questions that we might have missed, because there's quite a lot of dialogue going on in the chat? Glad it's given you a kickstart, Manpreet.
And please, somebody's going to go away and think of their superpower. That's excellent. That's brilliant. Yeah, I can't quickly see any questions that we've missed earlier up. It's great to see that some of them are self-moderated as well, when somebody's missed something that's been said or has asked a question that we haven't got to. So that's lovely. And that's a sign of a good group that was engaged and listening and ready to take on all the information we were sharing.
The chat is on fire actually in terms of the volume of information that's coming through, but we can actually download this at the end of the session, and if there's something that we have missed because of the amount of dialogue that's coming through, we can do some individual follow-ups with you as well. So it certainly wouldn't have been our intention to ignore you if you've asked a question and we've missed it, so thank you so much. Well, we're on 11. So we've taken our 60 minutes, and thank you for staying with us all the way through this time. If you haven't left a comment, feel free to do so as you drop off. But otherwise, it goes for us to say, thank you so much. We're grateful for your time that you've chosen to spend with us.
Thank you.